Hey guys, how are you? How's it going? It's Friday for me right now, but when you're listening to this, it'll be later. I want to share two instances from my life that happened to me last night that I think could be really useful even to me just to learn from and to you as well. That's why I'm sharing it because you know what I'm here for, right? I am always thinking, okay, what was helpful to me? And then I'm sharing it because I know it will be helpful to some of you, right? But I'm really excited. Today we have a ceremony for my oldest son's grade, and they're all getting awards, and he's getting his honor roll, which means his average mark is 85 and over. I think he has 89 average right now. So we're so proud because he's been working hard, he's been consistent, he's been just really killing it all year. So we're happy to celebrate that. We'll probably order whatever he wants to pick for dinner to celebrate that tonight. My husband's coming back from a trip, and it's just a happy day. But last night was not so happy for me. I've been solo parenting for 4 days, and I'm a little bit more unstable when I'm solo parenting. I think it's just because it's a lot. 4 kids is a lot. By the end of the day, it's a lot, and I revert back to my um, kind of how would you say this? Just tired state where I am not assuming the best of the kids. I'm assuming the worst. So this is what happened last night with my teenager. I basically, in my mind, had a kind of horror, not a horror movie, but you know what I mean, like a horror movie in my mind. Imagine something in my mind that was not happening. And I don't know what was happening, but in reality, I didn't even check what was happening. I just basically, out of my tired mind, reacted to my own thoughts in my mind and confiscated my teenager's laptop. I wasn't even imagining like a terrible scenario. All I was imagining is that he has zero parental controls and he's able to watch unlimited YouTube on it, and he's been watching it. And it the thing is that nothing has changed. He's had unlimited access to everything on his laptop for a couple years now, and he's been managing fine, getting great grades, and everything as well. He's getting good sleep. He's well adjusted, like knock on wood. So all that has changed was in my mind. I had my regular fear flare up, and I reacted to it. And so I really am trying to learn from this for the future to really sense, where am I coming from? Am I coming from trust or am I coming from fear? And every time I come from fear, it turns into a fight, right? I'm trying to be protective. I'm trying to be a good mother. When I'm in the fear, I'm like, oh no, terrible things are happening. Must go, must find teenager, must find, confiscate laptop, right? What did it turn into? It turned into a fight. My teenager was upset that I don't trust him. He was upset that I'm assuming the worst. He was upset that I'm trying to micromanage him. And he was right on all the accounts. And I was just a tired parent who just kind of falls into that. You know, when you like have your weaknesses, but for me, they flare up when I'm tired. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's so easy for them to just show up when I'm tired. And it sounds like an excuse, but it's more, I think, for useful information. Like just like when I have like tired thoughts that I know well, and I'm like, oh, this thought I can just ignore, but that means I need to go to bed. Well, why do you think I need to add that to my repertoire where I'm like, oh, if I'm assuming the worst of my kid, then I should just go to sleep and revisit it in the morning. So that happened, and I wanted to share this with you so you can kind of like think of that paradigm for yourself and start learning, where am I in trust and where am I in fear? Because whenever we are acting out of fear, it's never ever useful. Why? So we can ask ourselves questions that can test, is this useful or not? For example, is this bringing me closer to my child? Last night, no. Is this helping me show up as my best self? No. My worst self, indeed. am I enjoying myself when I'm doing this? No. Is this protecting my child from the worst case scenario? Also no, because we can't guarantee that at all. And in fact, it might be pushing him towards it because you're breaking trust with him, right? So these questions, ask them and see, and then you will know, is this useful? Is this useful to be acting out of fear and worry? By the way, fear and worry, the same thing. Whenever you're worried, I just learned that, and I listened to a podcast, and the lady was talking about how worry is just fear disguised as wisdom. So it's pretending to be smart and knowing it all and useful. It's like, oh, if we don't worry about this, bad things will happen. But indeed, it's just fear, and it's not useful at all, because when you are acting out of fear, you're showing up as your worst self, like me last night. You are disconnecting from your child, and you're not even preventing whatever it is you want to prevent. So those are the things. The other thing I want to kind of pull in here that happened last night was a good thing. Woohoo! Which I totally would have missed if I wasn't preparing to record this podcast. And this is what I want you to do as a mom. Find like the other 50-50. So life is 50-50, which means it's filled with negative 50% and positive 50%. No matter where you look, no matter at what time you look, there's always going to be some sort of balance there, right? So for me, last night, that stood out, like that terrible episode stood out a lot. And I completely forgot about the good because I was feeling so guilty and kind of bad, right? That I was a bad parent. But then I forced myself to think, okay, what was useful to me that I can share on the podcast? And I remembered something wonderful that happened last night that I want to share, that is basically the other side of fear, which is trust. So my younger kid had a bedtime. At bedtime, he was sharing with me all the things that have been weighing on his mind, and a lot of them were making him cry. And it was one thing after another, where something wasn't fair at school, or someone said something like this, or a friend wasn't nice to him, or he's worried that I'm going to say no to this thing. And so it was a handful of things. He was crying over all of them. And thankfully, I'm not to brag, but kind of bragging, but not bragging. I think I just got good at this concept that I was totally okay with him crying about all of this, because I recognized two things. One thing is that kids are supposed to struggle, okay? And I know it's sometimes hard to really comprehend when they're struggling, like hard struggle, like that you really don't want them to struggle, but like these little things was easy to practice that concept with. So first I remembered that kids are supposed to struggle. They're supposed to feel bad and sad and disappointed. And the other thing is I recognized that he simply needed to process his emotions with me. I didn't have to fix anything. I didn't have to promise anything, solve anything. I just needed to be there to hold him. And because I've done this with my older ones many times, that so I've gotten good at recognizing what's going on and helping him through that. And that felt beautiful to me, because I felt like I was being a good parent. I was there for my child. I did what I needed to do, and he quickly felt better because he processed all of them with me. He let it all out. He cried it all out. And I walked away feeling like, yeah, I did a good job, But this concept of the kids are supposed to struggle is very hard for us sometimes to comprehend. I mean, I remember a time when I tried manipulating my kids' swimming instructors, which was an epic fail, because I did jump through all the hoops of finding the right instructor that they love, and then signing them up for the thing where the instructor is there, and then convincing them that they're like selling them an idea on going to this thing with this instructor, and them going only to show up one day and find out that that instructor isn't there, and then they complain about the next one again. So quickly that after that I realized, okay, kids are supposed to struggle. I'm not supposed to fix everything for them. It's totally fine. I don't need to go and manipulate things. And I see parents doing that all the time with teachers, talking to teachers, trying to change teachers for them, trying to change classes for the kids, trying to go to other parents and talk to the parents and tell them how the kids should treat their kid. And I must say, I must admit, like, if that's you, please, I'm not judging. I'm only saying that that's really robbing us of our own sanity. Okay. I must admit, I have definitely felt the desire to go and talk to some parents at one point, or some kid or something, like go and manipulate the world out there so that they treat my kid differently. But luckily I avoided that desire most of the time. Um but that is just a degree to where when we try to manipulate the world for our kid so that our kid doesn't struggle, that is very deceiving, because you can get away with it when they're young, and you can do that a lot less when they're older and older and older, right? As I'm finding out with my older boys, less and less, I have less and less control over any of their journey. So I love the message that my only job is to love them, and whatever they turn out to be is not because of me. I'm practicing that thought, because how I'm seeing that I have 4 kids. So if my influence on them was that strong that I could really affect how they turn out, then all my 4 kids would turn out the same, right? Wouldn't that be logical, right? I'm the same parent. If I'm parenting them all the same, then I would affect how they turn out. But the truth, the reality of it is, they're all revealing who they are, revealing themselves in very different ways already, all 4 of them. And so how they're turning out is mostly, this is what I am trying to practice to believe, and I believe is mostly because of who they are, not because of what I'm doing. So if they're turning out great, it's because of them. If they're turning out terrible, then that's also because of the journey that they're meant to go on. Of course, as mothers, I know we like, it's easy to think, oh, what did I do wrong, right? If something's going wrong. And I think it's valid to process that and to be in that space and really answer that question. What did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? And to feel sad, to feel pain, and to process that to a point where you realize, okay, even if I did all these things wrong, now what? Like, I did my best. Now it's up to them, and I have to love them where they are. My only job is to love them. So that those are the 2 things that happened to me last night, 50-50. One was felt terrible, and and the other one, I felt like I was being an amazing parent at that moment that I did that. But guess what, my mind like instantly interpreted to as the negative one felt like 95% strong, like, of my night. It felt so much stronger, the negative episode, than the positive one. I think it's just because we're skewed to really biased to see the negative, and knowing that, we can kind of skew it back a little bit, remind ourselves of the positive. And this is why I love doing this podcast for you guys, because it reminds me of the good things I'm doing as well, not just a terrible 50-50. So I hope this was helpful to you with your teenagers, with your kids. And the way I see that these episodes are learning opportunities for me, because each time that I act out of fear, I instantly feel kind of learning happening. I'm like, oh, like, have you ever heard Jerry Springer? no, not Jerry Springer, Jerry Seinfeld. He said something brilliant, which I love. He said, pain is knowledge filling the gap, which I think is so brilliant. So he says, when you stub your toe on the corner of the bed, it's just pain filling the gap where you didn't know that the bed was in that spot. But now you feel pain and now you know that to avoid that corner, right? So whenever you feel pain in life, it's just knowledge filling the gap. So last night, it was painful for me to have my son be mad at me and say things. And that was knowledge filling my gap. Like, oh, misstep. I need to learn from this. I messed up. I did wrong. Like, I messed up. So for the next time, how can I avoid this, right? Basically. And it might take hundreds of times for this to happen for us to learn, because that's how long it takes for us to learn. But I think it's still useful to think of it as learning, because then you're not going to get down on yourself. You're going to just keep going. Yeah. All right, guys. Love you all so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.
And I'm on a roll.